welcome to another video. So today is another nice day to leave the city of Mombasa. And it's actually for three very good reasons. Number one, the fact that you can go to Mombasa like 20 times and you can never get to understand your way around Mombasa. Especially since they decided to repaint the whole city blue and white. All buildings in blue and white. Like mtu shanga uko wapi hata. Yeah. The city looks the same. Ukikuwa hii side nika uko ile side nyingine. Yeah, so I'm happy like we're leaving Mombasa finally.
Lakini bio, let me ask you. The number of times we've come to Mombasa, unakosaje kushika njia? Useme juni usiku, si leo tumetoka mapema.
No, the only places in Mombasa, Pembe za Ndovu, the Nyali Bridge. I think these because all the other places to Kenya, blue and white. I think it's a rather odd decision. Like city na kase, mato juko wapi.
Actually, that thing came into implementation. Was it 2013? No, 2014, when they decided to give the town some sort of that uniform color, which is now the blue and white. It makes a city look neat, honestly speaking. Like the guys who actually don't enjoy that setup are the wanabiashara. Imagine maybe you're a bank, maybe like KCB, your colors are green.
I'm not gonna show Pentastar. And you can't paint it green.
Exactly.
Lazima ikuwe blue na white, then utafute wale wa Pentastar.
Exactly. But I think overall, because zamani most buildings in Mombasa zilikuwa zimekula a bit of dust.
Yeah.
So the coloring, that idea ya paint wasn't a bad idea. At least it brought a bit of life and color to the town.
I just think wangeacha tu kila msee hapa kirangi anataka. Like maybe ingekuwa mandatory you have to repaint your buildings, but use different colors. At least like kwa ile side ya town unajua hii building sio hii side.
Yeah.
Because like I get lost every time. Don't get niko wapi. And then number 2, on why you're happy to leave Mombasa, the tuk-tuk menace. Mombasa kuna kama Mumbai.
Yeah. Maze, those tuk-tuks are everywhere. Maze ni kanzi. Nasi ati naongea na ubaya. They help us move around town.
Yeah.
We appreciate that, but hey, those things are everywhere. Even 1 minute cannot pass without you seeing one tuk-tuk. Ukionekana ukitembea, trust me, someone is going to stop and going to ask you, hey, unaenda up. But then again, imesaidia sana because of the prices for moving around town. It's actually quite affordable. It's not bad. Plus, it's a unique experience, and I think it's a safer way to move around compared to the likes of the bikes. I'm not saying bikes are bad, but the fact that at least you're protected in within the frame of the car. The risks of falling down first of all are minimal, or even getting injured. Injuries, yes, you can, depending on the kind of accident you get into. But it's a fun way of actually moving around town. I usually wonder mbona Nairobi tunanga tuk-tuk.
Yeah, it's fun, but now like the way those things are they even driven or married? Like mtu ride tuk-tuk kama drive.
Actually, it's ridden. It's bado ni bike.
Yeah, it's ridden.
It's
not
driven. Not driven. Because
that's how I say when the hizo vitu. Like unaonanga near miss kama 1000 in every hour.
Akiana, because unakumbuka tukiwa tao, just as you're approaching the roundabout pale karibu na pale kwa Pembe.
Yeah, we ran into a Camry.
Yes, it was a Camry. We was seated back naangalia tu. As a driver times unapiganga calculations zako. Umsata manage kupita. Kidogo ya side by side. Luckily you weren't hit. Yeah. And now we're here.
And number 3 on why I'm happy to leave Mombasa is because we have this super nice and clean 2016 Jeep Grand Cherokee. We are driving it all the way to the beautiful city of Nairobi, and we're going to be telling you all the things that you might need to know about this particular vehicle. So just to get started, a Jeep Grand Cherokee is basically a high-end SUV one that you're going to be looking at if you want something like a Rover Sport. There is the Audi Q7, Volkswagen Touareg, and even the BMW X5. The list just keeps on going. And this is actually the high altitude trim. It's sort of a name that they give to the trim. So we're going to get into the details as we continue to drive, but just to let you know quickly, we are running a 3.6 liter naturally aspirated petrol V6 engine. It's called the Pentastar V6, a Chrysler engine that has been around for a long time. And the thing about these V6 engines is that they are known for durability. And then it's tied to an 8-speed transmission gearbox, a very lovely one for that matter. The 8 speeds at 8 HP. We're now approaching Voi. The drive hasn't been too bad at all. It has been wonderful, except for one or two near misses from our truck drivers.
You know, if there's one thing I'm actually going to say about truck drivers, there are very bad truck drivers out here.
Yeah.
And also some who are actually quite, considerate.
Yeah.
You'll find, for example, there's some drivers actually who would move, to the shoulder of the road to give you way to overtake, which I find that is very, it's responsible instead of causing a pileup of up to 10-15 vehicles.
Yeah. And
it's just easy for you to move, to the shoulder and
open
try
up the roads.
Squeeze, not really squeeze, but get some throughway. And now imagine a guy like him at that pace. At least there's no car behind me, but maybe in the next 10 minutes you'll find maybe 5-7 cars all struggling to overtake. And the road again is not forgiving. There's one thing I usually say.
Yeah.
When I'm on the road, everyone else is mad. I'm the one who's sober upstairs. Let me make my decisions, be it overtaking, be it braking, all these things when I feel the time is right and appropriate.
Hiyo story ya madness ilikuanga unit ya kwanza driving school. Ukiingia hivi unaambiwa always assume everyone else is mad.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I think it applies, especially barabara. Never know what is going to happen. Then the crosswinds.
Hey, crosswinds.
The weirdest thing I've ever experienced to Queens.
Let me tell you. Now with an SUV, because of the body roll and all those things, you feel that effect, but you also still get the same effect even if you're in a sedan.
Yes.
It's actually quite strong, so you find yourself wrestling with a car to remain on track, which is it's not a bad thing as per se, but you really need to be careful because you need to know which zones are these that have all these crosswinds.
Yeah.
You lower your speed, drive with caution.
Yeah.
Then also another thing, when you're passing an oncoming truck, there's that you call it a drag effect. Like you can actually feel, getting a foot.
Yeah.
So those are things you need to be really careful about when you're on the road.
The views in Voi, I think, some of the best ibarabara. But place zingine unafikanga uoni kitu, like huko tu. But I think for Voi, ukianza approach Voi, the hills, the scenery, it's much better than most parts across this ukienda hiyo side nyingine.
Kweli, after what is it called? Forgotten the name of that town. Now once you start approaching the Savo East, the front gate, that's where actually things start getting real. Unakuja unapatana na zebras, maybe mahali.
Yeah.
But you mostly find a lot of baboons. Yeah, baboons on the road. So it's good to be conservative with the animals that are on the road. And also number two, there are a lot of clear indications and markings, places where you're supposed to slow down, because there's a wildlife conservancy. There are two pillars, or let's say signboards, that warn you you're getting into a wildlife corridor. So you need to be alert on all sides of the vehicle.
Yeah. And then you're actually not supposed to be stopping by the roadside. Nakumbuka ile time ingine tulisimama mahali wase wakatokea. So some guys came, they had a truck from the government, but the plates hazikuwa za gava.
Ilikuwa za KWS.
Mimi sikuanjua KWS wala trucks zao tofauti. Vile watu wameshuka na hizo magazines zake za Ghana, alafu nilikuwa na mount camera. Niliishia tu hapo, nilijua ni leo.
But unajua hii kitu inakuanga dangerous sana. Because you're in a wildlife conservancy area. Now utakuja upate na maybe kuna lion say ndo lunch time.
Na uko busy na mount camera huko juu.
Uko busy na mount hapa makamera. Those things utakuja pita nayo mbio sana. But that response was actually quite quick, which means there is serious surveillance
around the place,
around this area. Because it didn't take us 5 minutes.
It was like 2 minutes.
Hey, kidogo
tushafika.
Hey, wadau washafika hapo na
AK47.
Atuliza nini endelea hapa. So after of course explaining to them, they advised us that you know what, hii place achana na. Let's go do that ahead. It's good. It's good. It shows you know a lot of at least kuna watu wanatuangalia. Kaile scene ya Nairobi hizi jificha. Ndio hapa kwa barabara hizi jificha.
And then about human traffic. Along this stretch, Mombasa Voi, kuna watu wengi bana. Sasa wajaribu cross kila mahali.
You know, I think
hata kuna mtu huko mahali.
Exactly. Unaona kasa hii when you're approaching close to Mombasa, there are a lot of homesteads, be it villages and the likes, or rather shopping centers. Now utakuja uone there's a lot of activity, because even truck drivers stop to rest in some of these places. Now it's a risk. It's actually a very huge risk,
especially if you're driving at night.
Yeah. Now that's one unasikianga saa zingine. Even if you're a night owl, it's good to be alert. Kwanza usiku unaweza itana, but there's one unique thing you'll notice with Mombasa, even with the guys who are selling be it water, be it all those things, they have reflectors. Unaweza kuona ile, you'll be able to see them from a distance. Maybe by that's hands down. Your initiative ni kali sana. Because you can come and pita with
pita na mtu bila kumuona.
Exactly. Na barabara, if you're not used to long distance, fatigue is real. You may come, you may think there's no one. Kumbe umesimama tu hapa kando ya barabara. Ama unaonaje?
Yeah, I think especially usiku yusaidia sana.
Yes.
Juu barabara like lighting ya usiku si ati ni kitu hata iko.
Exactly.
The road is very dark. Ikifika usiku.
Then tunaingia Voi.
We're now getting into Voi. The scenery wonderful. Sikuanga joto huko kuna milima. Before naanza kuja huko. Sikuanga joto huko kuna milima. Mimi ni msawa western. Wana milima side za Kisumu. Sikuanga joto kuna milima places zingine.
Umezoea kuona miwa kila mahali. Tembea Kenya ona mamlima,
Kuna hiyo part ya miwa. But even the roads on the other side zilikuwa mbaya.
But siku hizi nowadays at least it's much better.
It's about 4:20 p.m. We're now approaching Mtito, and I can comfortably claim that this is the worst bit of this stretch. Ted, hii barabara.
This road between Voi and Tito, but it's very unforgiving.
Yeah.
Very unforgiving. Now, I pity guys who have, kujapa na suspension yako, but it's a mess. Too many potholes, a lot of recarpeting, but recarpeting of, patches, not recarpeting then leveling it. It's just like, it's prevention.
Yeah.
It's a only prevention for now. But honestly, so far so good. The car is, despite the terrain, it's managed to withstand that, that beating. And it's not aggressive. It's actually quite soft, despite, of course you get that bouncing effect. But honestly, I'm impressed. Because tumepitapa na magari nyingi, and I think every time tunakujanga, it's a completely different variant of vehicle. So that way not expose, but we get to learn so much more. Each and every single time we're doing these trips.
Yeah, I think it has handled it very well, considering we were tunakujanga gari wingi sana. But today has been sort of different. Although the bouncy bit of it, you can never escape away from that.
Yeah.
The road surface tends to be uneven at this particular point. It's like driving on a minefield.
Now, kucheza kati na potholes, because I don't know why this whole section has never been redone, honestly speaking.
Yeah, it's kind of odd, because like there are sections that haven't been redone. Like the part we're driving now, it has been redone, it was sour. And then like, ukifika pale mbele kidogo, it will be an entirely different story. Exactly. So it's like, wase ukam, wanatengeneza like 3 kilometers, kwanzia hiyo place ingine wana skip, wanaenda place ingine ya mbele. Like now, you can actually feel the effect coming to the cabin.
This is just, and the thing is, we're not even actually moving quickly. It's actually a very average speed. But kitunanipea confidence na hii gari, to even do 100 is just the fact that it's actually quite stable. With one hand, I'm able to still control the vehicle. But of course, for safety reasons, it's always best to have, to hold on to both sides. Like you're holding for your own dear life, because you don't know what you're going to meet ahead. And it's easier to maneuver with both hands on the steering. But hey, the Jeep has really tried. The Jeep has really tried in this section.
It's more of a decent cruiser compared to most other big SUVs.
Exactly. Actually, you'd put this in the same league, as the X5.
Yeah, which is obviously one of the rivals.
Exactly. Buy American. But honestly, so far so.
We have just made it to the town of Mtito. We are actually here for lunch, which is a late lunch, before we proceed with our journey. So let's talk about the Jeep Grand Cherokee's interior, because the drive from Mombasa to Mtito has been very comfortable. First of all, it has this nice half leather seats. They are very comfortable, very supportive, especially this area over here tends to be thicker and more supportive, so that you are as comfortable as you can possibly get. So we're going to take a quick walk around of this vehicle before we proceed with our journey to Nairobi. I think we will arrive in Nairobi by around 10 p.m. so you might have to go off somewhere in between the road, but let's do that first. So first of all, we have this rather nice multifunctional steering wheel. Then it has these metallic trim paddle shifters on either side, so the up shift and the down shift on this other end. And I actually find paddle shifters to be important these days, because there was a time when driving an automatic actually meant that you did not have enough power or control over the vehicle. But these days with the paddle shifters, you can always put in your input whenever you feel like the vehicle is too slow or being too fast for you. And then on this other side we have the cruise control buttons. So you can actually press this one to set it and have cancel and reset. So the cruise control basically works in a way that you can set a certain speed, let's say maybe 50, 60, or you want to cruise at 80, you can set 80, and the vehicle will do most of the acceleration by itself. It's decently styled. It has this nice trim over it. Then it says since 1941, which is just how long Jeep have been in business. And then when you come over here, we have the uConnect infotainment system. It has been very straightforward and very easy to use. And what I like about this system to be particular is the fact that there is this bit of synthetic wood trimming that runs from all the other side. Then when it comes to this point, you might think that it jumps over to this other side. But if you actually look into the system, you'll actually notice that that trim of the wood has actually been incorporated into the screen. So it looks like that wood runs from all the other side and goes all the way to this other end if you come to the door panel. So the fact that they actually incorporated it into the system is actually very cool. And if you come to think of it, there are times that you sort of look at it and you think maybe waliongezea kitu ikatoka na side nyingine, and I find it to be a very cool feature at that. And then maybe the basic functions, you have a radio for the morning shows and that kind of stuff. Then it has media, basically for Bluetooth connectivity. Then you also get controls here for the seat. So this vehicle has heated seats, and you can actually control the heating function from here. For both the passenger and the driver sitting in front, you can actually do that. So it has other functionalities as well, maybe for the doors and locks, the lights. If you want them to behave in a particular manner, you can always do that, setting your clock, and maybe you can go back. So it has dual climate zones, so the driver and the front passenger can have different settings for the AC. I think that is a pretty standard feature these days, but I find it to be important because there are still some vehicles that the driver gets to have the say. So you can always play with that if you want to be comfortable in the cabin. And then phone for your calls and connectivity again. And then it has the general settings button as well, so you can go to safety and driving assistance. Now when you go to that, it majorly gives a rain sensor. I can actually activate that so that when it starts raining, the wipers can come on automatically. And then we have things like the park view camera. If you want to turn it off early or you want it to delay, you can always do that. And even if you want the control to have sound, you can do that over there as well. It's a rather decent system, straightforward, and these buttons are some of the buttons that have been incorporated into the system. So if you don't like using the system, you can as well work with the buttons. So coming down here, I have things over here, but the most important buttons are actually here. So it basically has all-wheel drive. It's a Jeep. It should have the ability to access the almost inaccessible land. So you have hill descent assist. Then if you come over here, we actually have a terrain response management system. So there is sand for it, and then there is auto, which will basically allow the vehicle to decide on how to take on different terrains by itself. The system is computerized, but if you want to be precise and you know you're driving on sand and you feel like the vehicle does not have an idea of where you're driving, you can always push it to sand so that the traction can improve greatly and be of much assistance. And then there is snow, and you might want to say that it's not going to be an important mode in this vehicle, but you never know what might happen in those rather cold Nyahururu mornings. They also have mud. If your governor slept on the job for their first 2 terms and your roads are sort of inaccessible because of mud, you can always push it there. Then it has rock as well. So the terrain response management system is actually very important these days, because there are places that you go to and you sort of get stuck on a different kind of terrain, and this is actually going to help you overcome that kind of stuff. Then moving over, there is extra storage down here, and then it also has a charging point, and it has a CD player down here, which is rather odd. They might have placed it here, but for some reason they decided to put it in here. So it says label. You can actually put in your CDs and listen to the music from the past. These are the seats. Very comfortable, very supportive. Actually one of the best that I've seen in this particular range of vehicles. So you can go out and have a look at the other specs as well. So this is the back seat. I've actually adjusted the front seat, but I'm just about as comfortable as you can get in a big SUV. The back seat very comfortable, and not much to speak about, but one thing I can add is the fact that this vehicle has some of the most active pre-tensioning seat belts I've ever seen. The vehicle starts to move and you can barely adjust it, which is a decent safety feature. Of course, you need to be as tight as you can possibly get, of course, when you're comfortable. And this is the boot area. Not much. This is actually my bag. I'm sort of a light traveler. And then if you were to have a look at the compartment down here, have a spare tire and a changing kit. And that is what the cabin has to offer. It's generally a very comfortable vehicle. So as far as the styling goes, I actually think that they did a very wonderful job. It's a vehicle that you'll want to be seen in. It's something that you want to look at. It's something that you want to admire for a long time. And it's a vehicle that is going to take you to all the right places. So maybe you can start from here. You have these nice looking daytime running LED lights on either side. Then you have this 7 grille effect to it. 7, you can actually count them. And then if we go all around, the side profile looks very decent. It's a vehicle that is decently raised, one that is going to be able to take you to rather inaccessible places. And the fact that it has these nice black rims with the original rims, for that matter, actually gives it that cool look as far as the trim go into matching with the paint job. If you come to the back, there is a bit here that shouts 4x4. Just to remind anyone who might have forgotten how strong and durable and capable this particular vehicle is. And even if you look at the body creases, they are perfectly done, runs all the way to the front, and it's generally a good looking vehicle. So the engine we have here is a 3.6 liter naturally aspirated petrol V6 engine, and it's one from Chrysler. It's an engine that was called, or is called, the Pentastar V6. Has been around for some time. It has served Jeep for a long time. And the thing about these V6 engines is the fact that they have this good reputation for durability for the naturally aspirated variants. So definitely one of the vehicles that you might have to consider if you're thinking about a vehicle like this one might be in the shape of the Toyota Kluger. Because if you go for the Kluger, you'll definitely get the 3.5 liter naturally aspirated 2GR FKS, and on this other side we get the Pentastar V6. And these are engines that have a reputation for sticking around for a long time, and even the gearbox that is tied to is a rather decent one, but you're going to get into that shortly. But we're making about 290 horsepower here. And then as far as the torque figures go, we have about 350 Newton meters of torque. Those are rather decent numbers for a vehicle that is naturally aspirated. And as far as longevity goes, this is a vehicle that is going to be around for a long time. So due to unavoidable circumstances, we had to take quite a long stop at Mtitwandi. Hey, Ted.
So to me life.
Yeah.
And these things do happen.
Yeah.
But we move on. We soldier on. So we have to get to Nairobi.
Yeah, we have to get to Nairobi.
Yeah. So yeah.
I think coming from Mombasa all the way to Mtitwandi, and now we've left Mtitwandi, the vehicle has actually impressed me. Like comfort, it's very decent. Like Siskika nimechoka. We've been driving for all that time. We are now past Mtitwandi, but I sort of feel like I'm re-energized to some extent. Seats are comfortable, supportive, lots of adjustment, and there is a lot of room in this car. AC inafanya kazi yake yote. Ukipata pressure kama hizo saa zingine una stop for some time
and take a breather.
You take a breather, ukijipiga tu na AC na reggae.
Exactly. You know, even the driving experience personally, from the cockpit, I'm not straining, my hands are really not tired, and my mind is still of course, 100% engaged, and that's because of some of the functionalities. It's literally everything is at a touch. Not at a touch, at a distance. And this guy is actually quite interesting because throughout this whole journey, if it's phone calls that are coming in, I'm already connected to the Bluetooth. I have my pickup and disconnecting buttons here. If I need to control the volume, everything is right at the back, just next to the flappy paddle, gear shifters, cruise control, lane assist. This vehicle is actually all round. It's a full package on its own, and I find it as a very good family five-seater vehicle for anybody who's looking for a practical five-seater. This is a car I'd actually recommend.
I think I love the vehicle as well. And then there is the part where the engine we are using, with the fact that it's naturally aspirated. These kinds of engines tend to have a good reputation for durability. Because if you look at most of the rivals, maybe Rover Sport, the Touareg and the others, most of them actually get turbocharged diesel engines. But there are a few exceptions, because if you go to Volkswagen, the Porsche Cayenne and the Volkswagen Touareg, they're always based on each other. So even for those vehicles, they are the 3.6 liter naturally aspirated variants as well.
Yeah.
And they actually do a better job compared to when it comes to durability for those vehicles, because I've actually seen someone who owns a BMW 528i. The old versions actually had 3 liter naturally aspirated inline 6-cylinder engines, and it has been around for a very long time. They're actually very durable engines. And even if you were to go to Japan, to the way of the Kluger gets a 3.5 liter naturally aspirated engine, the 2GR FKS. I've actually seen guys on YouTube with the same vehicle. Say Canada, that vehicle has done up to 700,000 kilometers.
And it's still running.
What
the hell?
Yeah, it's still running. That's a Kluger. So these engines tend to have a very decent reputation. Then the gearbox on the other side, 8 speeds and F, wonderful ratios, one of the best again. And if you're going to go for any vehicle in this particular class, whether it's a Range Rover Sport, whether it's a Porsche Cayenne, regardless of what it is, for most of them, the European vehicles, they're going to get the same gearbox. So as far as durability goes, these are vehicles you should actually be considering.
Yeah. And another thing about when it comes to the engine response, if I need to make a quick overtaking, the gearbox actually it's an immediate response, and the ratio is actually quite short. It doesn't prolong the overtaking. It doesn't mess up with the overtaking pace, and actually so many factors in this this car, which people tend to really overlook.
So we're now getting into the river. The journey has been a successful one, rather long. So if I was to give my verdict on this particular vehicle, it has been a very comfortable vehicle. I would start with that. I'm not exhausted at all. The seats have been wonderful, and all the systems that you get in the cabin have been wonderful as well. The lighting at night, Ted, not bad at all.
Actually, the projector lamps have been amazing, and a few things I've actually noticed with the headlamps. This car also comes with the active. It dims the lights once it detects high beams. It deactivates the high beams when it detects cars coming from the opposite side, which is actually a very nice feature.
Yeah, because you don't have to do it manually.
Exactly, and also it makes you considerate of other drivers. But I won't lie, macho. We have been bullied, but honest opinion about this car is it's an all-rounder. It's an all-rounder for someone who's really not ready to go the German way. Can decide to go the American way, and you will still get to enjoy the same experience you will get with most European cars. You really wouldn't be missing out on much, honestly. Yeah, that's pretty much from me.
I'm going to add a few features that we might have forgotten somewhere. It has heated side mirrors.
Yeah.
That is going to be very important, especially on those weird mornings when the Nairobi weather tends to get moody. That is a wonderful feature. And then even for the rear view mirror,
Yeah.
it actually has the auto dimming function.
Oh yeah, it's actually come handy as I was driving, in some places, and it's a really cool feature, honestly. But one thing I've noticed about these cars, there's always a certain, a unique aspect of each and every single model. Actually, you get to interact with, like, nilikuwa boot to nimekaa, I realized, this car actually comes with a flashlight. So even if you happen to get stuck in the middle of the night, kabla kung'ang'ana na simu, you can actually just turn it on and actually use it. So it's a really pretty much all-rounded vehicle. I'm not really tired, as per se. The drive has been easy and not as chaotic as I was, expecting it to be. And it's a really cool car, honestly, to drive around. Yeah.
So if you're interested in this particular vehicle, looking for a big SUV, one that has a lot of presence, comfort and power, this is a vehicle that you can actually get from our showroom. We are located at Diamond Plaza 2, 4th Avenue, Parklands. And I'm actually happy to let you know that you can actually get bank financing options as well.
Yes.
And you can give us a visit or give us a call through the number that has been indicated on your screen. And we will be more than happy to assist you. So as you get into Nairobi, sorry za corona video kuchana, but have a good night, guys.
Good night from us.